In a previous video, we reported that the UK government had released the tender for Project Grayburn, the document discussing rifle criteria, timelines, and other information for potential bidders. In the document, there were 7 high-level characteristics mentioned, and this is what we mainly went over in our last video about the project. So, for today's video, we thought it would be interesting to discuss various Grayburn rifle contenders and their suitability when held up against that list of 7 characteristics. So, let's get started. As a quick refresher on those 7 points, let's go over them before looking at various rifles. 1. Rifles are to be manufactured in the UK. 2. A strategic relationship will be considered with the supplier to deliver, manage, develop, and support the weapons portfolio. 3. Up to 5 distinct variants will need to be developed. This includes a variant with a longer barrel, a shorter barrel for close combat, a carbine variant as a personal defense weapon, etc. 4. Grayburn will look to provide, quote, sufficient lethality to defeat current and emerging body armor. 5. The weapon must be able to accommodate day optics and have the ability to quickly integrate with inline night vision optics. 6. Some variants will need to be able to accommodate signature reduction technology, aka suppressors. And finally, 7. The weapon must be a highly reliable rifle, operable in all environments and climatic conditions. So, first off, some sources say that Beretta Defense Technologies, or BDT, will be putting forward the new assault rifle platform, or NARP, as well as the Arctic generation rifle of its Finnish subsidiary, Sako. Since they are both under the BDT umbrella, let's look at them together. So, when it comes to UK production, BDT is proposing to transform its Foldingworth site in Lincolnshire into a centre of excellence for small arms manufacturing. If either NARP or Sako's ARG are chosen, Beretta will establish an advanced production facility which will offer the UK a single-source end-to-end solution covering firearms, optics, accessories, and through-life support. This commitment by BDT should also satisfy the second point, which is about strategic relationship. When it comes to providing several variations based on one common lower receiver, NARP offers rifles with barrel lengths of 11.5, 14.5, and 16 inches. For Sako ARG family, we can see that the ARG-50GP, a semi-automatic sniper rifle in 7.62 by 51 NATO, has a 16-inch barrel. The 5.56mm NATO ARG-40GP is, quote, available in various barrel lengths for unit-specific flexibility, while the ARG-40DI series features multiple barrel lengths from 11.5 up to 16 inches. With point number 4, we again aren't sure of Grayburn's position on NATO standard 5.56 caliber and its ability to defeat current and emerging body armor. After all, there are many types of 5.56 rounds out there, as not all are created equal and some are better than others. For example, M855A1 enhanced penetration and M995 armor piercing are specifically designed to overcome modern body armor. This uncertainty about caliber will obviously apply to all other rifles mentioned in this video. As for Beretta's NARP and Sako's ARG, both rifle families would be submitted in the 5.56 caliber. Going through the other points, attaching optics and a suppressor won't be an issue for either rifle, while reliability should also be quite high. In fact, whether it's M-LOK or Picatinny, all the rifle candidates should have no problem with accessories. Sako's marketing has a focus on reliable performance in the Arctic, although it encountered some hangfire issues with the Swedish Armed Forces in 2025, issues that we are sure will be resolved. The NARP, being a fairly new platform, means that it hasn't had the chance to stand the test of time and years of military service. As a result, it too could be susceptible to growing pains. But on the other hand, Beretta has a long and rich history of small arms production, which could offset the NARP's new kid on the block status. We won't have too much more to say on reliability with other rifles, as we won't have any specific metrics to compare. And so moving on to Sig Sauer and its 5.56mm MCX or 6.8mm M7, we can see that domestic production isn't as well established compared to BDT. Nonetheless, it was in January 2024 that Sig Sauer announced an alliance with Accuracy International Limited to expand business operations of the company in support of the British Armed Forces and law enforcement customers within the United Kingdom. Accuracy International is a British firearms manufacturer based in Portsmouth, England, with products fielded with military units and law enforcement globally. The MCX family has rifles in a variety of barrel lengths, even going as short as about 7 inches all the way up to 16 inches. On the topic of defeating armor, the MCX family has options ranging from 5.56 and 7.62 NATO standards, as well as at 6.8mm/277 Sig Fury. With the tender having no mention of NATO standard caliber adoption as a high-level requirement, maybe the UK is open to the 6.8mm caliber, but it seems unlikely. And again, accommodating optics and accessories won't be a problem. One thing that should be considered with SIG are ongoing geopolitics and tensions with the United States. This is due to President Donald Trump's push to take Greenland while imposing tariffs on a number of European nations that disagree with his intention to annex the Danish territory. Sig Sauer Inc., being a New Hampshire-headquartered company, is American and perhaps not an entity the UK would want to deal with. But moving on, Heckler and Koch have suggested that they might submit the HK416 and the HK433, both in 5.56mm caliber. For local production, Heckler and Koch UK Limited is located in Nottingham and currently focuses on supporting the UK Ministry of Defence, mainly with the SA-80 rifle system. Discussing participation in Grayburn, H&K UK CEO told the website Caliber Defence, Heckler and Koch UK already has the infrastructure in place in the UK to keep the SA-80 running, so we would be positioned to maintain it until its out-of-service date, but we can also build on that infrastructure to re-establish a factory here for Grayburn. Would building a factory add cost per rifle? It depends on whether or not that factory can support other global sales, and how much the company in question is willing to diversify and speculate in their manufacturing. For example, there isn't much difference in size between the component parts for a 7.62mm and a 5.56mm rifle, so you could produce from the UK for your global supply chain. The HK416 comes in 5 barrel lengths from 11 inches up to 20. The 433 only has 3 barrel lengths, 11, 14.5 and 16.5. In terms of reliability, the HK416 has been in service for around 20 years and has been improved upon greatly from its earliest generations. As such, all the kinks from earlier models would have been resolved by now, leaving British forces with an extremely reliable service weapon. The same talking points about caliber and accessories from previous rifles apply to H&K's offerings as well. At this point in the video, covering what we've covered, it would seem like the KS from US firm Knight's Armament Company would be a long shot considering it doesn't have much of a production footprint in the UK. Sure, the KS-1 has been adopted by the UK's Ranger Battalions and Royal Marine Commandos, but the quantity acquired for these forces is minuscule compared to what will be ordered for Project Grayburn. The KS-1 is also said to be quite a bit more expensive than other options. Again, not an issue when being selected for smaller forces, but a significant expense for Grayburn. On the other hand, if the UK chose the KS family, such a large purchase could drive down the cost per unit. But is it all enough to convince Knight's Armament to establish a UK production and service facility? We're not sure. For barrel lengths, the KS family has rifles in 11.5, 13.7, 14.5 and 16 inches, and shouldn't have any problem with accessories. Reliability should also be quite high, since it was tested and selected by some higher-tier UK forces. Again, like Sig Sauer, Knight's Armament Company could face the same geopolitical issues, being an American company. Moving to the CZ Bren, its maker, Česká zbrojovka, doesn't have any production facilities in the UK. However, it's a big company that would undoubtedly have the resources and experience in establishing operations in another country, especially for such a large contract. CZ also has a great track record in small arms production, while its Bren family of rifles is understood to offer fantastic value at a cost that is generally lower than the competition. The Bren 3 is said to support a modular multi-caliber system, allowing users to switch between 2 calibers. 5.56 by 45mm NATO with barrel lengths of 7, 11, 14.5 and 16.5 inches, and .300 AAC Blackout with barrel lengths of 7 and 9 inches. And while a new FN SCAR is set to be offered in the near future, we know that there's the SCAR L Mark II assault rifle chambered in 5.56 by 45mm NATO caliber with a standard choice of 2 barrel lengths, 10 or 14.5 inch. There's also the SCAR SC subcompact carbine and SCAR H chambered in 7.62 NATO. In terms of manufacturing and production footprint, FN Herstal's production in the country is handled by its subsidiary FN UK, formerly Manroy Engineering, in Kent, England. This entity focuses on manufacturing and upgrading crew-served weapons like the M2 and Mag-58 GPMG. It also assembles rifles and pistols and produces weapon mounts for the UK military. In September 2025, FN UK signed a 10-year contract with the UK Ministry of Defence to upgrade and provide through-life support for the L111A1 heavy machine guns. And so we can see that the company already has an established presence in the country and a relationship with UK's MOD. Some viewers commenting on our previous videos have asked why ambidexterity wasn't listed as a high-level requirement. Others expressed their desire to see another bullpup chosen. We can't really speak on either of these points and why the UK MOD would choose to leave out certain criteria at this higher level. Perhaps since it's a tender, they want to leave things fairly open just to see which companies may officially put their products forward. So maybe even Austrian arms maker Steyr would put its AUG A3 up for consideration. Such a move would certainly make bullpup fans happy. But again, this company would need to establish a UK production facility, which is a fairly big commitment. But that's our take on things given the information currently available. Meeting those high-level requirements is one thing, but if all other things are more or less equal, then we can imagine that politics and cost could come into play as well. It's always possible that other companies will decide to put forward their rifles for consideration, but it's clear that the competition is pretty tough, particularly with products from Beretta and Heckler and Koch set to be competing. To us, these are the frontrunners given company sizes, reputations, and industrial capabilities. But what do you think? Is it all but inevitable that Grayburn will be a 5.56mm standard non-bullpup AR pattern rifle? Let us know by leaving a comment.